Chronicles here. How are you doing? Welcome to It's All About You and Me. And just wanted to share with you, it's not the best, but it's authentic, it's real. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and I don't know how the topic of rape came up. It's a little sensitive for me. But I said, it's a good topic to talk about because we don't know who the person really is that we meet, because we developed our personalities, our character on things that occur to us in our life. And, I'm a real tough sister. But one of my friends kept saying, well, that's who you are. That's who you are. And I'm saying, that's not who I am. Because who I am was probably somebody totally different because of the 5 rapes that I had incurred throughout my life. I'm 69 and I've had 5 rapes. And I actually went through each one of them with him. And oh my goodness, the feeling that I had was almost like it just happened. And rape is such a violation. But one of the things that I learned about rape through therapy is it's not my fault. It's all about control. And I gotta tell you, the situations were so... You wouldn't think that this person would do this. First of all, the first one, I was 12. I forgot about that one. I was at a party, and the guy was dancing with me, and he pushed me up against the wall, and we're grinding, I guess that's what we called it. And next thing I know it, I don't know if I felt my panties. I don't even think, he just kind of moved them out the way, and he broke my hymen, is what my cousin said. And I was like, oh my God, I started screaming. And, but the party, the music was loud, and, it was very traumatic. But, we couldn't tell anybody, although we were supposed to be at the party because, we had told our parents or my mother that I was going to the party. But what occurred at the party, I never told. Then, when I was 18, it was an attempted rape. Someone invited me to a party. And I get to the party and there's all these guys. I'm like, where are all the women? And they're like, they're coming. They said, we got food and stuff in the back. I go in the back. All these guys are looking at me like I am breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I gotta tell you, it still didn't register. I'm just thinking, okay. Now, I was that girl that when I walked past the basketball court, all the guys would be, woo, woo, hey, and I wouldn't, I might wave, but I didn't mess with them. And they wanted me so bad. Right? So they figured they was going to pull a train on me. You talking about somebody going, stop raving mad. I went crazy. I had a lamp. I just went crazy because, I'm taking my shit like that. And my mother knew his mother, and I remember his name because I couldn't believe he did that to me. I was number 2. I was 18. When I was like maybe 21, 22, I was doing an off-Broadway play. And one of the characters and I was new, and he had been around. And he said, let's practice our lines together. And I said, oh, okay, we can do that. Now, mind you, I left home at 16. So I was pretty much on my own. I was learning as I go. And I went to his house. He lived in New York, and I lived in Brooklyn at the time, Manhattan. And he said, so we practiced our lines, getting late. I fell asleep on the couch with my clothes on and everything. And I got up in the morning, went into the bathroom. I asked him for a washcloth. This son of a bitch rushes into the bathroom, bangs the door open, and says, "You think you're not going to give me some before you leave?" And I'm saying to myself, what are you talking about? Give you some? That wasn't part of the plan. And we tussled and tussled. I'm not sure if anything happened. I think he probably penetrated me. I'm almost certain, but I'm not really sure. And but I know I felt like shit. I felt like dirty, violated. I didn't really know, because that was actually the second time, and the circumstance was different. So I wasn't expecting that. So that was number two, and an attempt. Then when I was 30, when I went to college, I'm sorry, I have to backtrack. When I went to college, I worked 1 week, and I went to school a week. It was some co-op program, and I did it in high school, so I was very familiar with it in North Carolina, where I was. And I had to go to the post office like every day to mail letters and stuff. I worked for like a shelter. The people didn't live at the shelter. That was the office. So I meet this guy, and I always see him at the post office. So one day he was like, "Can I take you out?" And I was like, I've seen the guy a couple times. I figured, what could be wrong? Girl and guys. So I meet him, outside my house where I stayed. And he picked me up, and he says, "I got to run home because I hadn't been home all weekend, and I have to feed my dogs." So we had this big old bag of dog food. And I said, "Oh, okay." So now we get there. I think it was in Durham. I was in Raleigh. And he, I was going to sit in the car and wait because we were supposed to go to dinner. And I'm like, I don't need to go in. I wasn't really interested in meeting no dog anyway. Of course, I didn't know I had one with me. But in any event, he said, "Come on inside." And I was like, I didn't really want to. He was like, "The dog is friendly. I have nothing to worry about." He said, "But if you're going to feed the dog." Anyway, I went. Bad decision. So I come in, and he said, "See the dog?" Then he said something to the dog, and the dog went, "Rawr." I was like, "Oh my goodness." He said, "Yeah, and if you don't do what I tell you, and I'm gonna sick the dog on you." I was like, "Oh my goodness." I'm like, "Oh no, not again," right? So long story short, we fought. His penis was deformed. It just had this big old huge lump on it, and he had the nerve to explain to me it was a football accident or something. And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." And I'm like, "Well, motherfucker, you're not putting that in me. No way." And so we fought some more. He said, "Well, you're going to do something before you leave here." And that was my first, that was the very first time I had oral sex against my will. That was the first time I had it, period. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But he told me what to do. And of course, from the fear that I had, I did what he told me. And I have to tell you, it was one of the most humiliating, painful, emotionally thing that happened to me, as a teenager. young adult. And it was awful. Then he ejaculated in my mouth, and I spit it out. I ran to the bathroom. He was like, "Wow, you did pretty good. Maybe I need to have you do it again." And I'm looking at him like, "Motherfucker, please do not, because I may bite this shit off, the next time." So he got dressed and he took me home, which means he had planned on doing that. He had no intentions of taking me out to dinner or anything. And I endured the drive home, and I could not wait to get out of the car. And he just drove off. Of course, I reported him and everything. I don't really even know what happened, because I didn't really know what to do. Then one of my friends, I was in my, I would say, late 20s, and I don't know what number am I up to. And one of my friends who came over, we were, smoking and drinking, and then all of a sudden, like bipolar, this son of a bum just changed to another person. He was like, I wanted you, and you never gave me the time of day. I'm gonna take it. And I was like, oh really? I said, it must be these drugs that is, giving him some false sense of courage. But anyway, he did penetrated me, and I was devastated, because he was my friend. I'm thinking he was my friend, and all that time he was wanting me, obsessing, over me, and never knew. So I think 1, 2, 3. I think that's 5 or 6. I had therapy, and I was able to deal with it, the emotional part of it. And I would say I forgot about it. I did. I didn't really think about it until we started having a conversation about it. And I said, oh my goodness. I think I was raped 5 or 6 times. And attempted. Because attempt is still horrific. It's still demeaning. I mean, at the time, I didn't know. So when the last one happened, I called a friend of mine who's an attorney. And he told me, he handled it. And I said, okay. He took care of it. And he subsequently passed away from cancer. Bill, he was such a great guy. And yeah, so sometimes when you meet a person, the way that they are is not necessarily who they are. It's the person they became as a result of the occurrences that they had in their life, whether traumatic, indifferent. Because good things is a different outcome. And I never told my mother, any of this. And I barely even told anybody, because it's a very shameful thing when it first happens. And then after I went to therapy, I was able to decipher all those feelings and put them where they belong. And I was, able to move on and really just put it away. Like, I'm a healthy 69-year woman. And so when the person said, oh, that's who you are, and when I had to break it down to him to let him know that, yeah, this is who I am as a result of the things that happened to me, but it's not really who I am, because I'm such a different type of person now. Because, a person tells you to do something and you do the opposite. First of all, I didn't have no respect for men. My respect for men was very low. Let's just put it that way. I respected men who I knew that they didn't want anything from me. But I didn't have respect for men because of what had happened to me. So it had to be someone very special to come along and want me for who I was or who I am, and could kind of see, peep through all the ruffle. Now, although people come with baggage, I always say my baggage is an overnight bag, and it's not a whole bunch of shit in it, and it's stuff that's dealable. I could deal with it. It's not no major stuff that makes me want to get revenge or anything from anyone, because I don't do revenge. So I wanted to share that with you guys because and it really kind of touched me. I don't want to cry, but I'm telling you, rape is no joke. When you think everything is fine and all of a sudden some bipolar son of a bump just comes at you and you're like in shock. I remember a director of the play that I was in. He says, "Take all your clothes off." There was nobody else there but me and him. And he says, "Now you can do your lines. If you could do your lines naked." I was young, skinny. I didn't really have nothing budding. I think my butt was still round the way that it is. But, and I did my lines. He was like, "Don't be scared. I'm not going to do anything with you. I just want you to, do your lines. But if you do it naked, it's supposed to take me to some other level, I guess. I don't know." Anyway, I think that was a little creepy. So leaving home at 16, there were a lot of things that I had to learn on my own. And, I look at myself as being a certain type of way. Excuse me. And the person that people see is a culmination of things. It's not all of who I want it to be. And I think people bring out the best in you. They can bring out the worst in you. And I think the right person will bring out the best in me. They'll peer through all of that stuff. Because I'm sure it's there. It's layered. But it doesn't affect, my daily, the daily things that I do. And until they brought it up, it hit me that I did not remember, until I remembered, of course. But I just want you to know that people really need to be gentle. You need to be gentle with people because you just don't know. You don't know the stuff that they went through to get to where they are. And so my exterior is very strong. I know that it is. But it's strong because of all the shit that I went through. And although, I got through it and I am on the other side, there's still, like I said, people that you're around. That's why I can't be around negativity. I can't be around people that's they don't want to do anything. They just want to, stay in their misery or their pain or whatever. Like, I don't care. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go. If I can get there, I want to go. And I just wanted to share that with you. Like, I'm a person I have feelings. Yes, I do come across strong and confident, and I am. But there's still a side of me that no one can touch. So, I always say, you do the right thing for the right reason. And if you can do it at the right time, all your bases are covered and you're good. Thank you for joining me. Car Chronicles here. We are out.